Thank you very much for staying on the show this afternoon with me. Now, moving on to the very first story, some economists are making a strong case for the IMF program to be extended. It follows reports that the IMF is currently pushing government to extend the program. Sources say the fund's move has been influenced by concerns that Ghana may not be able to implement the necessary reforms before the completion date of April 2018. Joy Business understands the program could be extended to December next year or even 2019. Professor Peter Korte is one of those economists who thinks it is in the best interest of government to go for an extension.
The IMF program brings credibility to the country. You recall the period we went to the IMF, credibility was very low, and therefore the exchange rate was very volatile. So there was a need to go to the IMF as the second best option because our homegrown policies have not worked to the best of our ability. So extending the program, in my view, would offer us the opportunity to clean up the mess, because the one question we should be asking ourselves is how would we have performed without the IMF? I believe at the time that we went to the IMF, things were really in dire state. And therefore, I believe we should extend it, not for too long though, extend it and make sure they help us clean up. Once we stabilize and we think the economy is in shape, then we can opt out. But I don't think...
Are you for the December extension, or even there have been proposals for even end of 2018? What are you looking at?
Well, I think December will be too early, in my view. Maybe mid-2018 or end 2018 will be more appropriate. We allow ourselves more time to clean up the mess, stabilize the economy, then we can opt out.
The program originally was supposed to end in April 2018. The proposals was to extend it to December 2018. Some are saying that let's look at December 2018 or even the 2019.
No, I think December 2018 will be enough, give it enough room to clean up the system, stabilize the system, and opt out. We cannot continue to be in the fund program. We have to own our development. We have to own our destiny. And therefore, yes, they are good, but I don't think we should continue to be in such a state. If once we're able to stabilize and clean up, a lot of this freeze on employment and labor agitations and all the challenges will be a thing in the past. But if we are not, we can continue to be in the fund program in perpetuity and we will not achieve our targets.
What would you tell those who might say that one of the biggest reasons or the main reasons why we went into this fund program was market confidence and then credibility? And it looks like this new administration is getting there. So there might not be the need to be under this program. Let's finish and then move on and do our own things.
Yes, this administration is getting there, but it's not there yet. There are a lot of cleaning up to be done, and I believe it will take a bit of time to get this. I don't think an abrupt end in the program will solve that problem. We need to take our time, build the credibility to the level where we were in the early 2000, 2004, 2005, where it doesn't matter whether you held CDs or dollars. I think we need time to build the economy to that level.
And away from that, the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, is to impose taxes on petroleum exports bound for landlocked countries in the coming weeks. This is part of medium to long-term measures towards finding a lasting solution to fuel smuggling in the country. A fuel smuggling syndicate uncovered last week at the Tema port is said to have so far deprived the country of at least 850 million Ghana cedis by way of tax evasion. NPA Chief Executive Hassan Tampuni has been explaining how this has been possible and the way forward.
They bring in some of these things and then they indicate that they are selling for exports, and they end up selling it within the country. And that's what we call round trip. So they take it around. A truck will load petroleum products ostensibly to take it to Mali, and the following day that same truck is back at the depot in Tema. And now one wonders whether those trucks are using jet fighter engines, but it's not possible for you to move today in the morning to go to Bamako and then you come back the following morning to load again. Something is definitely missing. So when we impose taxes on those petroleum products, the equivalent of the tax, you would have paid it here. When you get evidence that you have discharged, the information is sent to the Ministry of Finance in Mali or Burkina Faso, then we will credit your accounts with a tax refund. So genuine business people or genuine exporters would not have a problem with these measures that we are putting in place. They have indicated that that is coming up, but we have assured them that there will be no need for them to lay off their workers because government takes a very serious view of the smuggling of petroleum products into the country and the plots to demonstrate the commitment of the stakeholders to help us stem the tide and then correct the markets and make sure that the OMCs are in business and they don't get to lay off their workers.
Meanwhile, oil marketing companies say the unfair competition posed by these smugglers have unduly affected their operations to the extent that they may not have any option but to lay off about 4,000 workers in the coming weeks unless urgent action is taken against the illegal activities. Henry Akwabwa is MD for Engine Petroleum.
Well, it is affecting our sales volume. Last year alone, we lost about 25%. Sales through these activities. Now, the modus operandi again is that some of the perpetrators take products around some of our service stations. And if you don't have a control mechanism in place, then they easily dump these products into your network. Now, it exposes us as oil marketing companies because then your quality is also compromised, if you don't have dealers who have integrity, So it is affecting our sales. That's one way they've been doing it. The other way is that now when you go to Kumasi, Tamale, and other cities, you find people retailing petroleum products in gallons by the roadside. How can a civilized country like Ghana look on whilst this goes on? This is a hazard, waiting to explode. So what happens is that these gallons again are taken to the lorry parks. So vehicles, instead of coming to buy fuel from the service stations, rather buy from these peddlers, so to speak. Well, a lot of oil marketing companies are affected. I'm sure you've heard about news of oil marketing companies laying workers off, etc. If this continues, that is going to happen. As an association or as oil marketing companies, there's very little we can do. The NPA, I know, is putting in measures to curtail this. They need the support of the security agencies and the broader stakeholder groups in the downstream industry.
All right. Finally, the practical steps to make this.
MD for Engine Petroleum Henry Akwabwa also outlined some measures for the way forward.
Okay. In my opinion, I think that something that the MP is also considering doing. Export products per se do not attract taxes. So what needs to be done is that we need to put some taxes on the prices, so that once you're able to prove that indeed the products were sent out of the country, then there could be some kind of a tax refund for you. The other thing is also to mark the products designated as export, whereby it's different from the products being sold on the local market. And the other thing also is to make sure that the documentation process is such that actual importers or exporters deal with the bulk distribution companies. But today, anybody can walk up to a bulk distribution company and say, I'm buying products for export. What is the proof that indeed you have a customer outside Ghana who is going to buy your product? So the documentation process is one. The other is to load the price with taxes, which will be refundable once you prove that the product was exported. And of course, to put some trackers on the vehicles that load products as export to sell. The trackers are able to determine the quantity of products on any particular vehicle at any point in time. So once this is done and the monitoring scheme is put in place, we'll be on our way to curtailing this menace.
Now let's still stay with this development a bit more further. And the Ghana Chamber of Petroleum Consumers is calling on government, the NPA and the GRA to ensure immediate arrests and prosecution of all players in this criminal activity without fail. The chamber says these people have clearly benefited in one way or the other from criminal proceeds that destroy both the country and the downstream petroleum sector. It says the disturbing menace will certainly continue to grow beyond tolerable limits and destroy Ghana's downstream sector. Now we've been joined on the line by the Executive Secretary of the Chamber, Duncan Amwa, to give us more clarification on this. Good afternoon. Welcome to Marketplace, Duncan.
Good afternoon, Emmanuel. Good afternoon to your listeners.
Yes. Now, Duncan, the NPA has started with some punitive measures. It has decided to impose taxes on the activities of these people. Now, you are calling for immediate arrest. Why this?
Emmanuel, it is often said that if the fire that produces the smoke is not put out, attempting to treat symptoms or attempting to treat the smoke would only yield some futile results. We are saying that this is not a system perpetuated by spirits or by angels from some other space that we cannot see or control. It is clear that the active collusion and connivance of some of these officials have seen this cabal perpetuate themselves into business and have become more of a permanent feature downstream. We are saying that for those BNI officials who sit at the ports, for those national security officials, for those Ghana Revenue Authority officials who sit watch vessels discharge products into BRVs, and these products eventually get out of the main ports onto the market to be sold to Ghanaians untested. We think it is not only a breach of their code of work, but it is also a breach of public trust.
Now,
they are put there to ensure something is done in the minimum to safeguard, one, the Ghanaian people, and two, the industry. They have let everybody down, where 850 is in the pockets of individuals, Emmanuel.
All right, now, Duncan, these activities are covert activities done under darkness. How does the NPA arrest people like these who are perpetrating such acts?
Emmanuel, the interesting bit again is this. You do not license people under darkness. Most of these people who go for export licenses that are shot up over the past 1 year so drastically, they are known. If the activities of these people were audited, if the volumes of products they lift from Tema to Burkina to Mali to Niger were audited, I am quite certain within the first 2-3 months, this activity would have been halted. People have gone to sleep on the job, Emmanuel. 850 million Ghana cedis is in the pockets of a cabal. That should have gone to the states. That should have gone to the downstream to be able to reinvest in infrastructure and even employ more people. These monies are in the hands of a cabal today.
Now, Duncan, do you in any way suspect the complicity of government people, government workers, so to speak?
Emmanuel, it is quite clear that without the active connivance of some of these officials, these people would not have been able to perpetuate this kind of crime on Ghanaians. But unfortunately, as we speak, the rhetoric is coming back. You would hear the NPA say, we are putting this in place, we are putting this in place. For over a year and almost 4 or 5 months into a new year, the menace is still going on. Today, as we speak, I'm sure the cabal is still operating. All the measures the NPA will want to put in place will yield nothing if they do not go out there to arrest some of these criminals who are taking all of us for granted and making money by the day while the rest of the industry and Ghanaians suffer. The products they put on the market, a lot are untested, Emmanuel. If the vessels come to discharge, you wonder which of the labs would have done any Q&Q testing to be able to certify a good product for the market. But they find themselves into people's tongues. We are tired of the rhetoric. We want to see people arrested and prosecuted immediately.
All right, well said. Now, finally, before you go, I want to know from your side, you represent the interests of consumers of petroleum products. Now, what are you doing by way of educating consumers not to go in for such, such products?
Emmanuel, we would still again go back to the NPA. There's a product marking arrangement. If indeed these products, almost 9 to 13% of all that was sold last year, if they did not get the marking, and NPA still allowed them into the dumps of fuel stations to be subsequently sold to unsuspecting public, then there's a problem somewhere with their monitoring unit. We still believe that the NPA has a lot more to do to protect Ghanaians. Other than that, I don't know what kind of activity we would embark on, but the NPA clearly would need to set up to protect Ghanaians with the mandate that the law has given them, as opposed to being negligent on the job and pretending all is well, when clearly about 9 to 13% of products we are using is coming from this cabal, mostly untested, and mostly would not even meet the minimum standard specifications that Ghanaians are believing they are being served. Clearly, something is wrong somewhere, and we think the NPA should own up, punish those officials within its fold who probably have gone to sleep on their job, and ensure that going forward, these people would not find the avenue to throw such products onto the market for all of us to consume inadvertently.
Right. Thank you very much for your time, Duncan. And that was Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Amwa, sharing his thoughts on the way forward for the smuggling cabal that has hit the petroleum downstream sector of the country. Moving on, the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, is looking at offering citizenship to some category of investors in return for capital. The move is part of several reforms that the center is implementing to improve investments into the country. The initiative would only apply to persons that bring in certain amount of capital. Jovi Grant is Chief Executive of the GIPC.
There are many others that we are looking at GIPC, which we will bring to the table for discussion. For example, creating a 10-year tax-free regional hub for Accra or Ghana, meaning that if you set up your regional hub in Ghana, you can have a 10-year corporate tax-free business model, so far as you have certain job creation indicators included in your business. And there's a large part of it in technology transfer and renewable sustainable energy use. So we are trying to be creative in making the investment attractive. We are also looking at putting in certain other attractive measures. For example, if you invest, an individual invest up to $5 million, we might consider you for a Ghanaian passport or something we are calling the Ghanaian green card. If you invest a certain amount in properties, then we might consider you given that green card. So you can live there because we attract your investment. So there are quite a number of things that we are thinking of doing. Even at the GIPC, we are looking at our own laws. For example, how useful has capital limits been in protecting our industries? And the research is telling us that it has done very little in protecting our industries. So we are thinking that we should remove those capital limits, but rather infuse incentives for indigenous industries to enable them compete effectively with any other investor that comes, and create a rule-based business environment instead of an exclusivity-based business environment. So that in itself is good. Now we're also looking at other areas. For example, some of the areas that have been restricted to only Ghanaians. And I think that those ones, for example, are a bit problematic. Why should we restrict, for example, taxes, the driving of taxes? In today's world with technology and innovation, so services like Uber then will be breaking the law, because that's a taxi service, but it's strictly reserved for Ghanaians, and it says that then if you're not Ghanaian, you can't operate a taxi. So Uber, which is not Ghanaian, shouldn't operate. But we rather open up the space for more investment and for more business, for Ghanaians to participate in the value chain of our businesses, because we also want to create jobs. So in doing so, we will create a lot of jobs.
So on the marketplace, and the recently ended auto show has generated enormous response from the general public and some automobile dealers. The second edition of the event, supported by the multimedia group, brought together buyers and dealers in various automobile brands. Organizers say they have put in place plans to help automobile dealers in the country to market the brands by sustaining the organization of the event.
The three-day event offered Ghanaian automobile dealers the opportunity to display their vehicles and other services to potential buyers and auto service providers. It also gave buyers and other automobile lovers who visit the mall a taste of new trends in the vehicle sales in the industry. In an interview with Joy Business, marketing manager of the Junction Mall at Nungua in Accra, Reginald Bulley, noted the program will be held every year to promote the Ghana's automobile industry.
The most likely thing to come up from this event is to create leads for all the exhibitors here and also to push their revenue margins.
So are we getting it?
Of course, from the feedback I'm getting from the exhibitors for the past 2 days, they've told me that it's been amazing. They don't regret making the choice to come to exhibit here. It's going to be an annual affair. This is the second edition. The reason why we didn't do it last year was because of some logistic issues, but it's going to happen next year at the same time.
Automobile stakeholder key doctors are manufacturers of master keys and locking system for vehicles and security facilities. Petroleum Smuggling is a co-founder.
We are locksmiths. We fix people's keys. We give people spare keys. If you have a broken key, we do access control. We do vehicle tracking and fleet management, as well as car alarm systems. So if you break your key, we help you fix. We give you a new one. If you don't have a spare key, we help you get one.
Some auto dealers also spoke with Joy Business on the importance of such events.
This is my first time as in person coming to represent Ghana. One of my colleagues has been here yesterday, so today is my turn. I'm here. In fact, the feedback is very positive. Yeah.
Okay. And so what kind of vehicles are you dealing in?
Well, actually, as I said, Ghana, we are the sole dealers of Isuzu and then Chevy. Yeah, so these are the two products that we market in the country currently. Ghana, we are the Sprinters Road.
Okay. And so the automobile industry in Ghana so far, I mean, you are basically into sales, you don't manufacture. I mean, how is the market so far?
Well, you know, the market is very, very, very competitive, honestly speaking. Yeah, as a sales guy, I can tell you, as a sales consultant, I can tell you, the market is very, 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 very competitive.
We receive lots of customers and then prospects on business, so it's going on well.
And so the kind of customers you receive, what has been the response so far?
Well, lots of customers are showing interest in cars, especially and the pickups and the saloon cars, including the other van also. And we've got a lot of people also who are also interested to be dealers in our spare parts also.
They are very happy about the brand we are offering to customers. They are happy about what the car comes with and all that. And in terms of their response, it's been fairly good. Some want to come by the showroom to take a look and then see, like, we give them more details, as in whether even they want to do maybe credits or they buy outright and all that. So we have a lot of people we are expecting in our showroom.
Now, shea is a major cash crop which is cultivated mainly in the northern region of the country, or northern part of the country. Its production into shea butter provides a source of livelihood for close to 1 million women in that part. Now, these women, however, benefit the least from this venture. Social enterprise Sekaf Ghana Limited is therefore supporting some of these women to change their stories. The Joy Business van today makes its way to the Sekaf Shea Butter Village, where these women are being taught innovative production methods. Let's have examples.
In the northern regional town of Zugu, these women are processing shea butter. It's gradual and very tiring, but this is a major source of livelihood for most women here, about 1 million of them. They were excluded by tradition from land access but allowed ownership of shea nuts. Shea has got immense economic potential to lift these women out of poverty. However, they are unable to tap into it because they are not able to produce in very large commercial quantities and lack access to available markets. That is the challenge Senyuk Peli wanted to tackle when he co-founded Sekaf Ghana Limited 13 years ago.
The women who collect the shea nuts are not organized. They are not in cooperative, so they have weak bargaining power. So we decided that we have to train the women into cooperatives. So all our women groups are in cooperatives now. The women were also processing the butter from their homes, and that was very difficult to control the quality. And so we introduced the centralized processing system, which we call the Sekaf Shea Butter Village model.
All right, so you get the full story tonight on the Joy Business van. Now, finally, farmers at Timebu in the Dweso-Dwabing municipality of the Ashanti region are still employing old traditional ways of farming that yields less than expected output. The methods, which have become unproductive over the years, have been attributed to the lack of extension officers to assist them. Prince Pia visited the community and has brought you this report.
Extension services is one critical service needed by farmers, especially in the rural communities. Its absence means farmers will produce lower yields and employ old ways of plowing their lands and cultivate. This is what farmers at Timiebu in the Jeso Jabe municipality of the Ashanti region are facing. An acre of farm that should produce 6 bags of cocoa is able to make only 1 bag. This is in addition to the threat of pests and diseases on cocoa farms. Officials attribute the trend to absence of extension officers.
It shows a bar, Kitu but I say one who upon and a been one ridiculous at the sun and say any panel. A baby this I could share penna now. So cocoa wa. Ube was an agent house in Dimenso. Bear 2 good years now, so it's
the backbone in Ghana is farming. But what I know is in our custom or in our community here, lack of knowledge is scaling farming by this time. So I request the government to bring in more extension officers so that they can teach us, they can give us knowledge in farming, because doing farming without knowledge, you are wasting your time.
This came to light when NGO, Center for Climate Change and Food Security, visited the community during an outreach program. The group visited the farming community with extension officers and officers from Cocoa Board to assist them. Bekwai District Cocoa Officer Abednego Asante explains the many challenges associated with the operations must be addressed.
The number of extension officers my district has, as we speak, this whole operational area, I call it an orphan operational area. I have no extension officer to man the area due to the inadequate of numbers. Another issue is means of transport from myself, because I should be going around the district to meet farmers, but as I speak, I'm mobileless.
And on that rather unfortunate development, we conclude this afternoon's edition of the Marketplace. Many thanks for your company, and do join me again same time tomorrow for another interesting edition. My name is Emmanuel Apwachi. Have a great afternoon.